Alex Eala receives warm welcome at Nike World headquarters. Filipina tennis star Alexandra Eala made a special stop at the Nike World headquarters in Oregon ahead of her campaign in 2 major tournaments in the United States next month. In a social media post, Eala shared how warm she was welcomed by the global sports brand that has long supported her journey. During her visit, the 20-year-old received customized gifts, including displays featuring her own images highlighting her growing stature in the international tennis scene. Eala recently arrived in the United States to prepare for the Indian Wells Open from March 4th to 15th and the Miami Open from March 17th to 29th. Her U.S. stop came on the heels of a strong stretch of performances that propelled Eala to a career-high number 31 in the WTA rankings with 1,432 points. A significant jump from number 47 the previous week. With momentum on her side, Eala is using her early arrival in the US to fine-tune her preparations for Indian Wells and Miami 2 WTA 1000 tournaments that could further boost her ranking. See, Alex Eala receives warm welcome at Nike World headquarters. The morning air in Beaverton carried a quiet excitement, the kind that hums beneath the surface before something meaningful unfolds. Inside Nike's world headquarters, where innovation breathes through glass-walled buildings and inspiration echoes along tree-lined paths, there was a special anticipation. Word had spread quickly. Alex Eala had arrived. For many, she was more than a rising tennis star. She was a symbol of courage, discipline, and the power of dreaming beyond borders. As she stepped onto the campus, there was no red carpet, no blinding spotlight. Instead, there was something warmer, genuine smiles, applause that felt personal. Employees paused from their meetings and morning coffees, gathering along walkways to catch a glimpse of the young athlete whose journey had carried her from humble beginnings to the global stage. Alex walked with quiet confidence, her posture relaxed but purposeful. She had grown accustomed to stadium lights and roaring crowds, but this felt different. This welcome was not about match points or rankings. It was about belief. Inside the main building, towering banners displayed iconic athletes mid-motion, frozen in moments of triumph. Today, among those images, screens softly flashed highlights from Alex's recent performances. Her powerful baseline shots, her determined footwork, the unmistakable fire in her eyes after winning a critical point. The applause grew louder as she entered the central atrium. It wasn't orchestrated, it was heartfelt. A group of young interns, many of them former college athletes, stood near the entrance holding tennis balls they hoped she might sign. Designers, marketers, engineers, and executives gathered together in a rare pause from the relentless pace of global sport innovation. For a moment, titles dissolved. Everyone was simply there to celebrate possibility. Alex smiled, slightly overwhelmed, but deeply grateful. She had trained in quiet courts under the tropical sun, spending hours refining her serve while the world went about its day. She had faced defeats that stung in victories that felt surreal. But standing here in a place built on the philosophy of pushing limits, she felt something click into place. This was alignment. A senior executive stepped forward to welcome her, speaking not just of her achievements, but of her character. "Talent can win matches," he said, "but resilience builds legacies." Heads nodded. They had seen it in her matches. The refusal to give up on a long rally, the calm after a lost set, the steady breath before a decisive serve. She was invited to tour the campus. In the innovation kitchen, footwear designers explained how they studied an athlete's movement frame by frame, analyzing pressure points and acceleration patterns. Alex listened intently, curiosity shining in her eyes. She slipped off her sneakers and stepped onto a testing platform, laughing as technicians mapped her stride in real time. Data bloomed across the screen, colorful arcs and pressure clusters, translating her motion into science. "Your lateral movement is incredibly efficient," one engineer remarked. "You generate force from your hips with almost no wasted motion." Alex grinned. Years of repetition, thousands of side steps. It was beautiful to see it quantified, transformed into art and analytics. In another building, she visited a design studio where mood boards were pinned with textures, colors, and sketches. Some were inspired by urban energy, others by nature's raw elements. A designer showed her a concept shoe inspired by island sunsets, vibrant gradients of coral and gold fading into ocean blue. "We thought of you," the designer admitted, "of where you come from, of bringing that spirit." Inside Nike World headquarters, long before the first meeting began, something unusual was happening. The campus, normally a rhythm of athletes, designers, engineers, and executives moving with focused calm, buzzed with anticipation. Word had spread quickly across buildings named after legends. A young tennis star was arriving. Not just any athlete, but one who represented a new era of global sport. Alex Eala was coming home. The arrival, more than a visit. When Alex stepped onto campus, she wasn't walking into a corporate office. She was entering a living archive of athletic history. Banners of champions lined the pathways. Quotes about grit and defiance were etched into walls. Every corner whispered the same message: greatness is earned. Yet this day felt different. Employees had gathered along the pathway leading toward the Michael Johnson building. Designers leaned over balconies. Social media teams adjusted cameras. A few interns clutched tennis balls, hoping for a signature. Alex, dressed in a sleek Nike training set, minimalist, sharp, unapologetically confident, paused for a moment before stepping forward. There was a flash of humility in her smile, but behind it burned the same competitive fire that had carried her through international tournaments. A spontaneous round of applause erupted, not choreographed, not corporate, just real. And in that moment, Nike wasn't welcoming an athlete. It was embracing a story in motion. Behind closed doors, the strategy session. The first stop wasn't a photo shoot. It was a meeting room. Inside a glass-walled conference space overlooking the campus track, senior brand strategists and tennis category leaders gathered around a table laid with mood boards, performance prototypes, and campaign drafts. The conversation wasn't about trophies. It was about trajectory. How do we tell Alex's story in a way that inspires the next generation? One executive asked. Because this partnership wasn't just about performance wear. It was about representation. Alex Eala represented more than elite skill. She embodied the rise of Southeast Asian excellence in a sport long dominated by traditional powerhouses. She carried the pride of a nation, the hunger of youth, and the calm composure of someone who understands the long game. During the session, Alex didn't just nod politely. She leaned in. She spoke about grassroots tennis in the Philippines, about young girls waking up before sunrise to practice, about the pressure of international expectations, and the power of believing you belong on any court in the world. Designers scribbled notes. Marketers restructured campaign angles in real time. The energy shifted from "how do we showcase her" to "how do we build with her." That distinction mattered. The innovation lab, where performance is engineered. After strategy came science. Nike's Sport Research Lab is where movement is studied frame by frame, where milliseconds are dissected like precious gems. Alex changed into motion testing gear fitted with sensors. Cameras tracked her serve mechanics. Pressure-sensitive courts measured her footwork. Engineers watched data stream across monitors. Her lateral movement, explosive. Serve rotation, elite-level torque efficiency. Recovery foot positioning, remarkably disciplined. But beyond numbers, there was rhythm. A flow state that data could capture but not fully explain. One footwear designer stood quietly, studying how her heel struck the ground during quick pivots. "She needs stability without sacrificing agility," he murmured. "Something that feels like a second skin."